I'm gonna be hardcore nuzlocking Pokémon Crystal with only ghost types. I'm ChaoticMeatball, rules are in the description, and here's the breakdown on our encounters. We're looking at two Pokemon, Gengar and Misdreavus. And guess what? Misdreavus is only available in Mount Silver, right before the battle with Red. So how are we even going to tackle this challenge? Well, we don't, because ghost types are immune. I kid. But the way we're going to get around this is by getting rid of Dupe's Claws. Ghastly can be found in 5 locations throughout Pokémon Crystal, those being on routes 31, 32, and 36, Sprout Tower, and the Bell Tower. 3 of them are available before the first gym, 1 of them's available before the second, but sadly the Bell Tower one won't be available until we get to Kanto due to not being able to get high enough into the tower. This makes for a still extremely difficult run, but now it's possible, rather than being one of those runs that are just flat out unable to be completed. So, how are we going to pull through the Johto region with 4 of the same Pokemon? Well, let's find out. So first things first, we're going to be choosing a non-ghost type starter. This is going to be Totodile, simply for the convenience of HM usage. While yes, the Ghastly line is resistant to grass, and it has the super effective poison typing, the line doesn't actually get a single poison type attack in Gen 2, so we don't really get that much of an advantage. As a positive though, once Totodile evolves with the power of the EXP share later in the game, it'll be able to use Cut, Surf, Strength, and Whirlpool, leaving just Waterfall as the only other move I'll need to grab a Pokemon for to get through this challenge. After the first rival fight, I'm good to grab the first Ghastly on Route 31. Now the problem that we're facing is that the Pokemon at the beginning of the game are a majority of normal types. We cannot hit those with our only offensive move at this point, Lick. So for now we're going to head to Route 36 just to capture our second Ghastly, then straight into Sprout Tower to get our third. We can't yet get the one off of Route 32 due to no patch of grass being available, like in Heart Gold Soul Silver before the first gym. So these are the 3 we're dealing with for now. To differentiate them, I named the first Gengobble, the second Genganger, and the one from Sprout Tower is named Gengumbles. 3 in hand though, it's time to start the long and arduous process of gaining stat experience. If you watch my last video, or any Nuzlocke challenge on Gens 1 and 2, you'll know that instead of EVs, Pokemon give stat experience based on their base stats, and each of a Pokemon stat can get 65,535 points in each individual stat. It's a bit complicated, but essentially it boils down to us being able to EV train every stat, as opposed to only 2 with the maximum of 510 EVs that Gen 3 and beyond provide. The way we're going to be doing this is by setting up all 3 of our Ghastlys to use Struggle. Yeah, I know this is a giant pain in the bum, but if I'm gonna optimize as much as I am in this run, you damn sure know I'm going to be using Struggle strats to take out level 2 Pidgey, since they only provide 15 EXP as opposed to every other level 2 Pokemon available at this point, giving 16. However, since we don't want to have to set this up every time we get low on HP, I decided to use the clock reset function to reset this berry tree over and over again so that we have infinite healing items. This is also useful for funding things like TMs later on, though we will have better items to perform this sort of infinite money exploit on once we get to Goldenrod City. After gassing up Route 29 so badly it's uninhabitable, we're cleared to head into the Violet City gym. After taking out Faulkner's trainers and heading up against his 2 birds, I think we should be in the clear, though there is one problem. Sadly, due to the lack of abilities until Gen 3, we're going to be susceptible to Mud Slap, a super effective ground move that lowers our accuracy, so we're gonna need to get a little lucky and have our held berries to keep our 3 Ghastlys alive, since I don't think it's possible to reach the end of the game with a single death this early on. Faulkner leads with his Pidgey, so I go with Gengumbles, already equipped to deal with it thanks to Struggle. Struggle hits for a quarter as Mud Slap does a little bit of damage on top of the recoil, doing a little under a quarter to myself. I'm hoping to knock out Pidgey with only 1 Ghastly, then have 2 available for Pidgeotto, though this ends up going to crap at the end of this back and forth. Despite hitting 3 times in a row through Mud Slap, Struggle starts missing, and Ghastly eats his berry, though we still got a few more turns in us, until I realize we've missed 3 turns in a row. That leaves Gumbles here with only 4 HP, so I swap out to Genganger, taking 20% off of a Mud Slap and KOing with a Struggle. Pidgeotto's all that stands in the way, taking 2 struggles from Anger, the second being a critical that brings him down to about 25% HP, but does put me in a deadly range to a high roll Gust. Thankfully, we get a low roll, surviving on 2 HP and leaving me to swap out into the last gasp. Lee. What can I say? I got my humor from Chugga Conroy and he loves his bad puns. Anyway, we are able to get through this Pidgeotto with 2 more struggles through a Mud Slap and win the fight, walking away with 0 deaths. Too close for comfort, though I'm willing to deal with things like this in the early game as opposed to taking risks late game since I can just do this again relatively quickly. Going towards the Azalea Gym, I'm finally able to pick up the 4th and final Ghastly until getting to Kanto, and this time she's a female rather than the other 3 being males. This is sort of unfortunate since Pokemon gender is determined by the attack IV in Generation 2, meaning she's below average, but she's the perfect fodder for me to nickname Gengussie. No, I have no shame, thank you for asking. Union Cave is a simple trek since all of these Pokemon can actually be hit by Lick, letting me through and into Azalea Town. Team Rocket's 1 beatdown that I don't need to worry about, giving me entry into the Azalea Gym, as well as plenty of room to get more EXP from Route 29 for stat experience. Once everyone's reached level 16 though, I make sure that they were edged up just so that I can head into the fight with Bugsy with a little bit of an advantage, plus I made sure to heal since I can actually hit everything with Lick, so why you struggle? Bugsy leads off with Metapod, so I go for good old Gumballs, trying to hit Hypnosis as he goes for a few Hardens. Sure, this does reduce the power of Lick, but we were trying to put him to sleep before those were set up. He got off 3 before we landed a single Hypnosis, though thankfully he does stay asleep for a good few turns, leading to Lick hitting 4 times, including a critical to get him below half HP. From here we can just keep going for it until he hits a low red HP, and then we can swap in all 4 of our Ghastlies as they're all edged up, so they can all hit level 17 as Metapod's taken down with Gengussie's Lick. Second out is Kakuna, and since he's got Poison Sting he can actually damage me, but no more than 1 damage per turn. But to prevent as much as possible, I put him to sleep with Hypnosis, hitting a few licks to bring him down to red HP, finally finishing him off while taking only 10% damage in return. Last out is Scyther, and he's no threat. We're quad-resistant Fury Cutter, and we can ensure this doesn't hit multiple times in a row with Hypnosis. However, I decide to go for Curse, since he can't really hurt me that much, and that just guarantees us a 4-hit KO. Then swapping between the entire team so I can split the EXP effectively, giving 157 points to all 4 Ghastlies to take him out, and earn the Hive Badge. Perfect! And this leaves plenty of room going towards Whitney's level cap of 20. Straight after, we've got our first real rival battle, and this ends up going pretty well. I'm able to KO his first Pokemon in his own Ghastly with 2 licks from Gengumballs, then using Hypnosis and Curse on his second Pokemon in Zubat before he can hit a single move. From here, I can swap into that Gengussie! God, what have I done with this nickname? Either way, I'm able to KO with 2 licks on top of the Curse damage, leaving just Bayleaf. Gengussie here is able to put him to sleep after 2 uses of Hypnosis, giving me enough time to swap into Genganger, hit him with Curse, then hit another Hypnosis just to ensure that he loses, not landing a single attack on Genganger before Lick seals the deal for the win. I'm surprised, this is going a lot better than I would have anticipated. And we're finally coming up on Goldenrod City, the area where I can finally have an attack that isn't Lick! After cutting our way through the Ilex Forest and getting through Route 34 unscathed from any trainers, we're good to head into Goldenrod City for a few things actually. Firstly, we need that coin case from the underground. See, we can get multiple copies of the Thunder TM, one of the only powerful special moves we have access to at this point in the game, though each copy costs 5,500 coins, or $110,000 each, which we do not nearly have enough money for. Here we have 2 options of grinding money though. Either we can grab the white apricorn for $100 a piece in Azalea Town, just resetting the time over and over again without having to move, or we can reset in the Goldenrod department store itself on Sundays to get infinite copies of the TM for return, which sells for 500. This, however, requires you to walk in and out of the floor for the item to be given to you, which might be more annoying than timing inputs over and over again for some, but it is faster if you're willing to focus on the game, more than you would be with the white apricorns. However, this is plenty enough to get me 4 copies of Thunder and Return, great moves for all of our Ghastlies to have at this point. We'll be back later though, since the department store also sells the TMs for the elemental punches, all of which are special in Gen 2, but we can't learn them until evolving into Gengar, which I'm not allowing myself to do until they hit level 40 for added challenge. After heading back to Route 29 to get more stat experience though, I'm ready to go for Whitney and her normal types. Gengumbel starts the brawl against Clefairy here, nailing Thunder, which paralyzes, though it doesn't immobilize her for the turn, getting off a metronome and rolling Ancient Power for around 20% damage before a second Thunder does her in. Out comes Miltank, and of course, turn 1 she goes for Attract, and we're infatuated, unable to get a single attack through due to the 50% chance of being immobilized. To remedy this, I can just swap into another Ghastly, choosing Gengar to take 2 hits of rollout before managing to land a Hypnosis at the very last moment. I was willing to sack Gengar just to stop this chain and get off a Curse, but thankfully it didn't backfire, letting me go down to red HP with Curse and swap into Gengobble to finish her off with a shot of Thunder to win the battle and the Plain Badge. 3 down, 13 to go, and still no losses. However, if the gym that's immune to my primary stab nearly net me a lost Pokemon, then how are we going to fare against the leader who has access to Shadow Ball before I do? Of course, we can't enter the Ecruteak City gym without first taking out the rival in the Burned Tower. Though, boy, we really had a few close calls in the Dance Theater first of all. Those evolutions, even at this much of a level advantage, are pretty hard to take down, especially Espeon and Umbreon, but my Great Balls of Gas managed to plow through, closing in on that evolution level for Haunter. The Great Mighty Pooh here, though, has already evolved his Ghastly illegally. It is level 20, so I'm here to punish him with some Gengussie. Thunder hits turn 1, paralyzes, and immobilizes him for the turn so that Nightshade can finish him off next turn, getting the most threatening Pokemon out of the way with no damage whatsoever, doing the same to Zubat on turn 3 with a super effective Thunder. Magnemite's out third, and hilariously, we're able to evade a Supersonic and KO with 2 Nightshades, leaving just Bayleaf. And since we resist grass types, I'm able to just wail on him with Nightshade, KOing in 3 shots despite a critical Razor Leaf to win with over half HP remaining. Hilarious that the evolutions gave me way more trouble than the rival battle. But hey, that's just Pokemon sometimes. Following that though, we're good to take on the trainers in the Ecruteak gym, topping off the levels with the trainers between Ecruteak and Olivine, finally evolving our Ghastlies into Haunter at level 25, and perfectly at the cap for Morty. But I must ask, we have now gotten Fists. Why are you not able to get the elemental punches yet? Anyway, Morty leads off with his lone Ghastly as I go with Gengumbles, destroying him with a single Thunder as Haunter number 1 comes out, and goes down to Thunder as well. Sweet. Gengar comes in third, and despite the 70% accuracy, Thunder number 3 lands in sequence, doing over half and paralyzing Gengar, holding him down for the turn, so I go for the 4th, and this is where the luck finally runs out, allowing him to land a Shadow Ball for the near KO. From here, I'm sure I could try swapping for the next 3 turns to see if I could get away with a turn of paralysis, but I'd rather lose Gengumbles than risk a critical hit or a high roll on the other Haunters with lower defense stats, seeing as the Ghost type for some reason is physical. I love when the metaphysical beyond the grave typing is physical! Anyway, so I fire off the 5th Thunder, landing and KOing, leaving just the last Haunter. From here, I do feel fine with swapping into Gengussie, taking a Nightshade and landing a Thunder that nearly KOs, but he's set on Nightshade, so there's no risk of going down, finishing him off with the same move next turn to KO and win the match. Whew, that was rough, but I was really expecting myself to lose a Gengar here, maybe even 2 of them at this point, but the fact that I got away with 0 losses here, kind of a miracle. I can't get rid of the 70% accurate Thunder attack soon enough though, because god, that was heart palpitating! Now that there's a large amount of trainers available, I wanted to prioritize getting the red scale from the shiny Gyarados in the Lake of Rage to get the EXP share from Mr. Pokemon. There's a couple of reasons for this. First of all, I want to evolve Totodile so that it can learn Strength, as Totodile can't, only Croconaw and Feraligatr, plus the level cap for Chuck is 30, not really much higher than 25, when I need to be able to take everything out in and around Olivine, Cianwood, and Mahogany, especially when you take into account the Rocket Hideout in the 3rd of those areas. However, with the EXP share, I'm able to get through all of those trainers without overleveling, not to mention, I can take out the gym trainers for Chuck and Price as well without breaking a sweat over the cap. Wish I had more to say before we get into this trio of terribly tired trainers, but that's what happens when you don't name the Rocket executives and give me a reason to talk about any of them. Firstly, Chuck. He's got Primeape up first, but who wants to go to sleep? I know I do, because I'm voicing this video at 6 AM, but I'm able to swap in all 4 of my Haunters into battle so that they can grow to level 31, as Primeape falls to 2 Thunders, giving me just a little bit of advantage over Poliwrath. In case you're wondering about this strategy and whether it's legal, it is, since you only have to adhere to the level cap at the start of the gym battle, as the next gym's level cap takes effect as soon as you enter. This gets me 1 level ahead of the Poliwrath, which falls to a single Thunder, though I am stupid and accidentally hit Return first. Didn't need to, since Gengussi's special attack is ridiculously high at this point, but hey, at least it didn't matter. Secondly, Price at the cap of level 31, and I don't really have much to take care of Ice types, but I certainly do for Water types, as Gengumble's one-shot Seal with Thunder, and nearly does the same to Dugong as Aurora Beam does a quarter damage, going down the following turn to return. Last out is Piloswine, and since I'm worried about Blizzard, I want to set up Confuse Ray before swapping out to Gengobble, aka the Haunter that I decided to give my limited copy of Shadow Ball to. Thankfully, Piloswine hit himself twice in a row after hitting only 1 Blizzard, letting Gengobble get off 2 Shadow Balls, but of course he didn't hit himself for a 3rd time, so I do just enough damage to get him into the red and get Price to use a Hyper Potion. Back to the grind as Shadow Ball gets Piloswine down to the mid-yellow with 2 of them, taking a Blizzard after the second one. Despite this doing just slightly over half before my Held Berry triggered, a 3rd Shadow Ball is more than enough to finish off Piloswine, winning me my 6th gym badge. Even though Price is the 7th gym leader on the trainer screen, and yet people defend Johto games as some of the greatest in the series. I'm sorry folks, Johto and its remakes are mid! The 3rd of the trio is Jasmine, and while she has some weak Magnemites at first, they can paralyze my Haunters, which is kind of irritating in the face of the Steelix at the back of the line. Thankfully though, some held PRZ Cure Berries are plenty enough to combat this, as Nightshade is a 2-shot KO on both Magnemites. The first we're able to dodge, the second we get hit and paralyzed, recovering and getting to Steelix with full HP thanks to Genganger. From here, we just need to hit 3 Nightshades to KO, though Iron Tail is a very, very deadly move, assuming it hits with the 75% accuracy it has. The first misses as I hit the first Nightshade, and the second also misses as I outspeed and hit Nightshade. Sweet, that's a damageless Jasmine with the 3rd one hitting, making us ready for the Rocket Radio Tower event. I'd talk about this event, but it's Jover before it began. Alright, hold up. I will talk about the rival battle in the underground, but that's it. He leads Golbat, dying immediately to Haunter's Thunder, as does Sneasel after landing a light feint attack. 3rd out is Magnemite, and while it does manage to paralyze me, I managed to get him down to red HP with 2 returns from Gengumbles, before swapping for Gengussi to KO with a 3rd and final return. 4th is his own Haunter, falling to Thunder in 1 shot, which leaves just Meganium, and as per usual, due to being a grass type and unable to yield the damage necessary, we're just able to absorb Razor Leafs as healthy breakfast options, KOing with 3 Nightshades to win the battle. Well hey, at least I needed 2 Haunters for this fight. The Archer stand in at the end of the whole event with 2 Dark types lost to a single Haunter. Very disappointing when you have both access to Houndour and Houndoom. Afterwards, we're given the Clear Bell, getting rid of Suicune, but unable to proceed higher into the Tin Tower to grab our 5th and final Ghastly. I really want that guy. Maybe then I could name him Gen Gustavo Fring. I'd insert the clip from Box Cutter, but with Gus and Victor's heads replaced by Gengar and Red's heads, but I'd get demonetized faster than you could say I need me some of that Gengussi. With the Rockets gone though, we're clear to head through Route 43, the Ice Path, and into Blackthorn City for 8th and final Johto Gym Badge. And with the level cap of 40, we're clear to evolve our entire team into Gengar, grabbing the TMs for the Elemental Punches from the Goldenrod department store, and yeah, that's the end of the run. I kid, of course, but these punches are going to knock these bosses out harder than Mike Tyson could ever imagine. Claire's fight is very simple, as Gengussi is able to slam through her 3 Dragonairs with 1 Ice Punch each, which last out is Kingdra, who's outsped by Gengussi and nailed with a Thunder Punch and somehow manages to get paralyzed on the first shot. This doesn't help out too much, as Smokescreen does lower my accuracy, but that paralysis did manage to hold her down just enough to land 2 more Thunder Punches, and then 3 more following a Hyper Potion to KO and finish the bout, all with Genghisi not taking a single point of damage. She doesn't give me the badge yet, but after about 2 minutes in the Dragon's Den and telling the elders what they want to hear instead of my actual feelings of using these things as tools of war because I am an unfeeling man who is willing to stuff a Pokemon into the box at a moment's notice if it ever defies me, we're given the Rising Badge and set on our way towards the Pokemon League. By this point, we're still not maxed out on stat experience yet, though it's pretty much a done deal after grabbing Poliwag for Waterfall and taking out the trainers available in Kanto so far. Speaking of those Kanto trainers though, this trainer told me to tweet, which I did, and you can see those tweets by following me on Twitter at ChaoticMeatball, link in the description. How's that for a handy plug? And yes, people were appalled by the Genghisi over there. 1 victory road later, and we're ready for our penultimate rival battle. His lead Sneasel, despite being a dark type, is no match for any of my Gengar, but actually have Fire Punch. See, Gengar is the only one that I didn't give Fire Punch, simply because I wanted to have the ability to use Hypnosis and Dream Eater. My other 3 Gengars are equipped with all 3 elemental punches, but Gengumbles has Thief, since Dark is a special-based type in this game. Gengumble has Shadow Ball for stab, and Genghisi has Curse for the guaranteed damage against those really troublesome Pokemon. I just realized that I did not finish this battle in the script. What can I say? Video making is jazz, baby. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. None of us do. From here, we're clear to enter the Elite Four at level 47. Can we take him down? Well, I'm sure you know the answer. The real question is, how many Gengars are we gonna lose? Well, let's find out. Will is first and very easy as Gengumbles destroys Zatsu with Ice Punch, Jinx with Fire Punch, Executor with Ice Punch, Slowbro with Thunder Punch, well, 2 of them since he barely survives and wastes his only turn with Amnesia, leaving just the second and final Zatsu to fall to an Ice Punch. 1 down, 3 in the champ to go, as out goes Gengobble for Koga as he leads Ariados, taking it out with a critical Fire Punch, Venomoth with Fire Punch, Fortress with the same, Muck with 3 Shadow Balls following an Acid Armor and Sludge Bomb, and finally Crobat with Ice Punch, taking only 10 damage from the entire ordeal. Third up is Bruno, leading Hitmontop as I go with Gengobble, firing Ice Punch for half as he goes for Dig. Well, I should have grabbed Protect for this, huh? Well, Genganger's able to take it for less than a third, finishing him off with Thunder Punch and leaving Onix to go down to Ice Punch following up, with Hitmonlee coming out third. I'm able to hit Hypnosis and Dream Eater after Hypnosis is dodged twice, not that it's a problem, since we're able to just recover all that HP back, bringing out Hitmonchan fourth, and take another 3 turns to land Hypnosis. Thankfully, these guys are not doing too much damage, and we're able to just suck that right back with Dream Eater, leaving just Machamp to go down to the same combo, though Hypnosis finally manages to land on the first turn, making it no threat whatsoever. Last of the 4 is Karen, and despite her use of Dark types, this really isn't that much of a problem as my team of Gengar are quite capable of special beatdown as you've seen. First up is Umbreon, being paralyzed by Gengobble's Thunder Punch on turn 1, going down with 4 of them after missing with Sand Attack twice, and being immobilized for a turn from paralysis. Second out is Murkrow, an easy KO thanks to that flying subtyping with Thunder Punch. Third is Houndoom, so the neutral Thunder Punch is plenty enough, especially when she decides to waste time using Roar over and over again. Yep, that's intelligent move. I've heard that's very intelligent. Yep, see, the problem with Roar is that it's just too good. She finally uses Crunch on Gengobble after a Max Potion comes down and does around 2/3. No, it's not enough, as a critical Thunder Punch was able to connect beforehand, allowing for a regular 1 to KO. Fourth out is a Vileplume, which falls to 2 Fire Punches, 1 from Gengobble and 1 from Gengumbles, even with the Moonlight restoring half of her HP. See, now I wanted to swap here since I knew her last Pokemon is her own Gengar, and Thief on Gengumbles is a perfect super effective special counter, KOing in 2 shots after a lick does less than 20 damage, winning me the match. She may as well have been the champion though, because Lance stands no chance whatsoever against 4 Pokemon with access to elemental punches. He leads Gyarados, Thunder Punch, owned, Dragonite, Ice Punch, obliterated, Dragonite number 2, Ice Punch, shattered, Aerodactyl, Thunder Punch, outsped and over dead, Charizard, Thunder Punch, no shit, he lived and hit Flamethrower. Huh, I guess Game Freak likes Charizard for a reason. A second Thunder Punch gets the KO here, leaving just Dragonite number 3 to die to another quad effective Ice Punch for the KO and the win. What can I say? This comprehensive suite of moves is quite OP, and makes sense why we didn't have access to them until endgame. However, it is going to get a little bit more powerful in Kanto thanks to two very specific TMs. Well, one boat trip later, and we're in mainland Kanto. I figured I didn't want to fight any of the gym leaders until I cleared out all of the trainers in the region, all just so I could go into Kanto's original order, for the sake of the video. Yeah, I know, it's kinda stupid, but just consider me on Team Anal for this one. God, I need one of those hoodies. Before taking on the gym leaders though, we can't forget the last rival battle over in Mount Moon. Most people forget about this one since you don't actually have to go into Mount Moon at all during your playthrough to get all of the Kanto gyms, but I digress. Pooh here leads with Sneasel, falling straight into a Fire Punch to KO as Golbat comes out second, falling to Thunder Punch. I thought he had Crobat since he learned to love his Pokemon in storyline. This makes no sense, so therefore he must be zapped. Magneton's out third, and Fire Punch melts right through this metallic madness, leading into Gengar. Now this mirror match is made very easy thanks to Gengobble's Shadow Ball, KOing both it and Alakazam out 5th, leaving just Meganium to fall to a single Fire Punch, but not just because of the Fire Punch, but because of the burn that's inflicted, depleting the remainder of Meganium's HP, KOing and winning me this last battle against the great mighty Pooh. Alright, rapid fire time. We gotta plow through these Kanto gym leaders like a hot knife through butter, and I know just the way to do it. It's called Elemental Punches. Brock's up first, leading with Graveler as I go with Gengobble. Ice Punch takes care of him and Rhyhorn, Thunder Punch on Amistar, then we flip-flop back with Ice Punch to take out Onix, and Thunder Punch finishing off Kabutops for a damageless victory. Misty's not too much harder thanks to our rapid use of Thunder Punch from Genganger, taking out Golduck, though Quagsire does stop me in my tracks. Ice Punch is neutral though, KOing in 2 shots after Amnesia is needlessly used without a follow-up healing item. Third is Lapras, which does take 2 Thunder Punches, but Rain Dance is used, so we're still going through damageless, leaving just Starmie to be outsped and nailed with a Thunder Punch for the one-shot KO and the victory. 2 for 2 on damageless victories, you love to see it. Lieutenant Surge time, and I don't have anything to hit him with super effective damage, but we can just chuck PRZ Cure Berries on all 4 of our Gengars here to ensure some free turns. Raichu's up first as Gengussy is able to plow through him with 2 Ice Punches through a Thunder Wave, leading to Electabuzz. Ice Punch manages to do half damage, though Light Screen was not something I was betting on. This puts a huge damper on things. I figure since Gengussy gets paralyzed off of a Thunder following this, I was going to keep her in until Light Screen's last turn so that I could get the KO on the Crackback before it could be set up again, but Gengussy wasn't held down whatsoever as a critical hit following a Hyper Potion gets the KO. Well, I guess we can stay in on Electrode, though Double Team is a bit frustrating. Alright, I'll take another critical hit, sure, it. Magneton's 4th, and Fire Punch lands 2 KO in 1 shot despite Light Screen still being up and no critical, leaving just 1 more Electrode. I almost wanted to let Gengussy solo this entire fight despite being paralyzed from the beginning, but after Electrode landed a Screech and I managed to get through 1 more Fire Punch, I figured I'd swap out and just not leave it up to chance, KOing with Genganger with an Ice Punch to win. Not damageless, but pretty damn good despite paralysis nonetheless. 4th up, Erica is just obliterated by Ice Punch. Tangle is a one-shot with Gengussy's Ice Punch, as is Victory Bell, Jump Bluff after the quad effective attack, leaving just Blossom to fall to the same move, giving me the first of our 2 important TMs from Kanto, Giga Drain. This is a fantastic special attack for a type we didn't have access to before, so I will 100% take it. 5th up is Janine, and despite not having grabbed the TM for Psychic yet, the level difference is so high that it doesn't matter, as everything's a one-shot with Genganger's Ice Punch, Thunder Punch, and Dream Eater, taking out Crobat, Ariados, Venomoth, and both Weezings to seal the deal. 6th is Sabrina, and the writing is on the wall for her thanks to Shadow Ball being a physical stab attack, as Gengobble is able to plow through Espeon, Mr. Mime, and Alakazam after outspeeding all 3 of them to win the fight in 3 turns. 7th is Blaine, and he's sitting in a cave. Gotta love when a volcano ruins your life. Depression aside, we don't have a water move to take out anything here, though Gengobble is pretty much strong enough to box his way through these hot-headed weaklings, KOing Magcargo with 2 Thunder Punches through a Flamethrower, doing the same against Magmar as he sets up Sunny Day, finally finishing with Rapidash with 2 Thunder Punches, despite Fire Blast bringing us down to around 25% HP. At least he didn't use a Super Potion on a full HP Pokemon this time around. Last but not least, Blue's the only gym leader with an actual level cap of 58, and that's purely because the level curve of Johto is bad.
Please tell me, Game Freak, why did you do this? And then follow that up by telling me why you won't put Pokemon Generations 1 to 3 on Nintendo Switch Online!
Allow me to recompose myself. Blue leads off with Pidgeot as I go with Gengar, accidentally using Fire Punch as he goes for Whirlwind. Well, thanks I guess. Now I can KO with Thunder Punch, doing the same to Rhydon with Ice Punch next turn. Third up is Alakazam, and while he does set up Reflect, 2 Ice Punches is all that's required to clear. Half down, half to go as Gyarados enters fourth, falling to Thunder Punch in one shot thanks to being a quad-effective punching bag. Fifth out is Arcanine, and once again, since we don't have anything super effective against fire types, we're kinda stuck with just trying to punch it to death. We're able to land 2 Thunder Punches in a row as he goes for 2 Roars, but that's not enough, as a full restore is used to bring Arcanine back to full as I accidentally click on Ice Punch. Honestly though, I should have done this from the get-go, as Gengar can now KO with 2 Thunder Punches on the follow-up, not letting him slip back into red HP for another Hyper Potion, finishing off Arcanine and leaving just Executor to fall to an Ice Punch in one shot to KO and win the fight. And that's 16 badges, friendos. We can finally head to Mount Silver and get a new encounter. As you can tell, I've ignored Gen Gustavo Fring because I completely forgot existed. Seriously, I just completely forgot that I had a 5th Gengar that I could have had access to, but hey, that'll just make the red fight more challenging, right? Sure, we're just gonna go with that reasoning, because that's the reasoning we went with the last video. I'm definitely not bad at these games. From here, all I have to do is talk to Professor Oak and enter Mount Silver, heading up to the 2nd floor to get the 5% at night encounter, Misdreavus. No Mismagius yet in the timeline, but we're able to get both Thunder and the TM for Psychic here, providing plenty of firepower to make Misdreavus strong enough to keep up with my fully evolved Gengars. One ridiculous amount of stat experience grinding later though, and we're ready for Red. Despite him having a level 81 Pikachu though, the level cap here is 75, sheerly due to the fact that you can easily have all of your team's stat experience maxed out by this point, which kind of offsets the level difference. I'm sure I could even do this at level 70, but I'm not about to test my luck after making it to the final battle. Red leads off here with Pikachu as I go with Misdreavus, firing off Psychic straight away as he goes for Charm. Well, I mean, that does weaken return, but Psychic is still going to KO on the 2nd shot. Second out is Snorlax, and sure enough, I had a feeling this would happen. I kept Confuse Ray on the moveset here to ensure that this would be a decently easy enough battle to take care of, but he manages to not hit himself early on and stacks up 3 Amnesias pretty much instantly. This now becomes a war of attrition, waiting for him to run out of power points with rest as I continue wasting my own with Gengar just to get it done and over with. Thunder Punch manages to get the paralysis by the end with no rest power points in sight, getting a critical hit that finally took him down. And the stupidest part about this whole thing is that because it's so late into the war of attrition, I didn't actually want to get this critical as I was planning on swapping to one of my other Gengars before KOing so that I'd be in with something with full power points on his next Pokemon. But hey, I've got enough to survive through Espeon, I should be fine. Thunder Punch does barely under half, which is less than I expected, as Psychic barely doesn't one-shot. Well, shoot, I guess we're going for Thunder Punch and hoping for Paralysis to avoid certain death. We do get the Paralysis, but of course the chance of immobilization doesn't trigger and Gengar meets her end. Unfortunate, but if I'm being honest, the nickname needed to die much earlier. Afterwards, I'm able to send in Misdreavus to finish him off with Return, leading to Venusaur. Perfect timing, as Psychic actually gets the critical one-shot here, leading to Charizard. Thunder should be the perfect attack to KO here, but after missing the first, the second barely misses the KO as a second Flamethrower does another third of Misdreavus' HP. It's all good though, as Psychic is plenty enough to finish off Game Freak's Golden Goose, leaving just Blastoise. Now, while I'd love to stay in and hit Thunder, I'm much better off swapping to one of my other 3 live Gengars to just try to KO it with Thunder Punch. Surf doesn't do much to Gengar after I swap it in, going for 2 Thunder Punches to grab that final KO, winning the match, and the run with only a single death. Making it this far into the run with 0 deaths, 0 extreme mistakes, but then getting to the top of the mountain, only to look down and throw myself off for funsies was a little depressing, especially when Misdreavus is literally the Pokemon I grabbed to not be weak to Psychic types. Well, it's not that big of a deal. We still won. But it does sort of feel like how Jeff Hardy was climbing a ladder in the Money in the Bank ladder match in 2008. He's so close to the briefcase, but then he decides to just not care and randomly go for a leg drop to the outside through another ladder. It's right there. You can just win and not worry about anything, but nah, it's not as fun that way. And hey, I'm a fan of Jeff Hardy and throwing myself off of things too, so what can you do? With this run done though, we're one run closer to finishing off this spreadsheet. I've still got a boatload to get through, but I'm really excited to help finish off all of these runs so that fellow challenge creators can move on to more ROM hacks and fan games, as well as other more creative challenges, as doing the same monotype Nuzlockes and people treading the same ground over and over again is getting kind of boring. With all that said though, thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like and drop a comment on which runs you'd like to see me do in the future. And if you really enjoyed the video and want to see more content like this, make sure to check out my Patreon page, link in the description, or become a YouTube channel member. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you next time.